Welcome to the presentation of MDA 8.6. My name is Matthias Kekkeler. At ETAS I am the product manager for MDA. Within the next 11 minutes I'd like to demonstrate you the new features summarized here. In the description below the video you can find jump marks which will guide you directly to the corresponding topic. I start with an improvement which is useful for selecting variables. With MDA 8.6 a new filter category is provided in the Variable Explorer. It is named Custom Filters. When adding so-called label files to the configuration, these appear in the File Explorer and in the new filter category. Label files contain simply a list of variable names. Using label files allows to filter faster and more easily just the relevant signals. By means of the checkbox a label file filter is activated. Then only signals are shown in the variables list, which are defined in the label file and available in a source, usually a measure file. If several label files are activated, signals from any of the label files are listed. This is a logical OR combination. But if filters from different categories are active, the combination is a logical AND. This behavior allows, for example, to select quickly the same set of signals from different measure files. The custom filter category has an additional entry, No Data. It can be used as a kind of negative filter. Only signals which are not defined in the unchecked label files will be shown. Label files can be created out of the configuration manager of MDA 8. Also, Inca's experiment environment offers such a functionality. The label file format is a pure text format. It can be modified in any text editor. To update a modified label file, do the following. After the modified label file is saved, open MDA's File Explorer and remove the label file. Then use the undo functionality. This causes to read in the label file with the modified contents. For the import functionality, an enhancement was done. When an MDA 8 configuration is selected for an import, the available calculated signals are listed. Moreover, MDA 8.6 offers the display name rules defined in the picked XDX file. The objects to be imported can be selected or deselected by means of its checkboxes. Imported display name rule sets are added at the end of the already existing rule sets and are activated by default. If the name of an imported rule set is already occupied, the additional rule gets a figure added at the end. This happens also when a copy of a rule set is created. If there are several rule sets which could affect the display name of the same signal, only one rule set is applied. The sequence of the rule sets defines the priorities. Drag and drop allows to modify the sequence. The following topic is about an automatic search for files when loading a configuration. In an MDA 8 configuration, the location of the referenced files is stored as an absolute path. This causes that when exchanging a configuration between users, often the files are not found, even if the files are stored in the same folder as the configuration. Now, MDA 8.6 handles such situations more comfortable. When loading a configuration, first the absolute path is searched for the referenced files. Then, MDA tries to find files with the same names in the folder where the configuration is stored. During search, the subfolders are included. If files with the same name can be found, these are proposed for a replacement in a new dialog. The dialog appears if at least one file can be proposed for the replace operation. By confirming the proposal, a manual replacement gets omitted. Only files which are not available with the original name or which are stored at a completely different location, need to be replaced manually. Files which were removed from the configuration are ignored in the search, even if they appear in the File Explorer as they cause signals in no-match state. The search for each file is stopped after a first file with the same name was found. The same happens if the maximum search time of 3 seconds is reached. Already since the former version of MDA8, textual measure files with absolute date and time channels were supported. As a small enhancement of MDA 8.6, now even a pure time channel in an absolute time format can be defined. This means without the date information. I have created as example a corresponding INI file. It has the file extension only time absolute. Now MDA on my computer can read and write this specific format. The time information is given in hours, minutes, seconds, and fractions of seconds. That the timestamps are absolute can be seen here, where the change happens from 11:59 p.m. to 0 a.m. This step back to 0 causes that similar timestamps can occur. Eventually, this is the reason why such a pure and absolute time channel is not recommended. Especially for measure files with a longer duration, it is not possible to detect the real duration by reading only the first and the last timestamp. This would require to read every single timestamp. For performance reasons, this is not reasonable. Therefore, MDA assumes that such a measure file does not exceed 24 hours. Accordingly, only the first and the last timestamp are read. Based on these values, the difference is used to calculate the file duration. This can be seen at the time range of the time slider bar. For my example file, a value of 10,625 seconds is shown, which represents about 3 hours. Namely, the simple difference between 12:30 and 3:30 p.m. But actually my file has a duration of about 24 plus 3, namely 27 hours. As the timestamps after 24 hours are not unique anymore, for files with such a specific time channel format, the maximum time range is limited to 86,400 seconds. In case your measure files can exceed 24 hours, you should either use a format with relative timestamps or a combined date and time information. Another small enhancement relates to the add-on for CAN bus trace files. To interpret a trace file in BLF format, a DBC description file can be used. In former MDA8 versions, the DBC file was interpreted in a manner that all signals had either a pure numeric or a pure verbal signal type. Signals with a pure verbal conversion are named enumerations. But there exists also a signal type which is a combined, partly numerical and partly verbal conversion. These are called status string ref signals. Unfortunately, the format specification for DBC files does not provide a clear differentiation for enumerations and status string refs. For each signal with a verbal conversion, also a numeric conversion is given. To overcome this problem with DBC files, MDA 8.6 follows the established behavior of Inca. For signals which have a verbal and a numeric conversion, the numeric conversion is used to distinguish enumerations from status string refs. If the numeric conversion defines that the physical value equals the implementation value, only the verbal conversion is used. Accordingly, the signal type is enumeration, and as a result, the signal axis in an oscilloscope shows the strings defined by the verbal conversion. If the numeric conversion is not identity, the signal is handled as a status string ref signal in MDA 8.6. Consequently, the signal gets a numeric axis in the oscilloscope. The value shown for the cursor position is the result of the actual conversion. It can be a figure, but also a verbal status information. In general, the assumed differentiation works well. but in reality there exist also status string ref signals with a conversion which is identity. The following indicators help to identify this special case. Usually no signal curve will be visible. Moreover, the value shown for the cursor position is the string default value. And when looking at the conversion, you will notice that there is only for a small number of implementation values a verbal string assigned, while the data type defines a much wider range of possible values. Then you should simply switch to a decimal data representation. Thereby the signal curve is displayed based on its numerical values. An overview of all improvements of MDA 8.6 is shown here. Details can be found in the What's New slides. These, as well as further information materials, are available directly in MDA 8 and in the ETAS Download Center. Thank you for your attention and your interest in MDA 8.